Good day everyone. My name is Eric Peristain, first year college, President of Bachelor of Science in Entrepreneurship from Bicol University Gubat Campus. In current situation, our community was facing many vulnerabilities brought to us by pandemic. In livelihood, income, economy were severely affected, especially to our environment. That is why we came up of this training proposal entitled Recycling Make Us Wise. Let's think outside the trash. Every individual has a total responsibility to maintain the cleanliness in our environment and sustainability. But mostly of the time, we forget about it and do some unnecessary stuff, just like loitering, improper waste segregation, and etc. So, we have to take some action regarding these problems, and this training was a great way to help about it. Our training not only aims to give benefits to environment, but also gain knowledge about the awareness on the cause and effect of climate change, proper waste segregation, entrepreneurial ideas amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, and life hacks to promote convenient living to every individual. Especially that mostly of us stay at home, so we have to make our time productive and at the same time, help our environment and earn some income. The main objective of our training is first, to promote local and innovative products with the use of recyclable and indigenous materials. Second, to motivate in exploring and discovering products from waste. And last, to promote training and helping the community for conducting eco-friendly livelihood programs.
Good day everyone, and welcome to our video presentation. So today, we're going to discuss the cause and effects of climate change. But before we proceed in providing a lot of information about the topic, let's first distinguish the difference between climate change and weather. Weather is the changes we see and feel outside from day to day. There is a possibility that it might rain one day and be sunny the next. Sometimes it is cold, sometimes it is hot. Weather also change from place to place. In other words, when we are talking about weather, it's about the condition or behavior of the atmosphere over a short period of time, because it rapidly changes from time to time, day to day, minute to minute, or season to season. Let's go now in defining what is climate. Climate is the usual weather of a place. Climate can be changed for different seasons. A place might be mostly warm and dry in the summer. The same place may be cool and wet in the winter. Different places can have different climates. There's also Earth climate. Earth's climate is what you get when you combine all the climates around the world together. Climate change is a change in the usual weather found in a place. This could be a change in how much rain a place usually gets in a year, or it could be a change in a place usual temperature for a month or season. Climate change is also a change in Earth's climate. This could be a change in Earth's usual temperature, or it could be a change in where rain and snow usually fall on Earth. Climate change and global warming are often used interchangeably but have distinct meanings. Similarly, the terms weather and climate are sometimes confused, though they refer to events with broadly different spatial and time scales. Weather refers to atmospheric conditions that occur locally over short periods of time, from minutes to hours or days. Familiar examples include rain, snow, clouds, winds, floods, or thunderstorms. Climate, on the other hand, refers to the long-term regional or even global average of temperature, humidity, and rainfall patterns over seasons, years, or decades. Natural climate change. The natural variability and the climate fluctuations of the climate system have always been part of the Earth's history. To understand climate change fully, the causes of climate change must be first identified. Strength of the Sun. Almost all of the energy that affects the climate on Earth originates from the Sun. The Sun's energy passes through the space until it hits the Earth's atmosphere. Not all of this energy passes through to reach the Earth's surface. The rest of the energy is reflected back into space or absorbed by the atmosphere. The energy output of the Sun is not constant. It varies over time, and this has an impact on our climate. Only some of the solar energy intercepted at the top of the atmosphere passes through to the Earth's surface. Quantity of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Greenhouse gases include carbon dioxide, methane, and water vapor. Water vapor is the most abundant greenhouse gas in the atmosphere, but it stays in the atmosphere for a much shorter period of time, just a few days. Methane stays in the atmosphere for about 9 years until it is removed by oxidation into carbon dioxide and water. Carbon dioxide stays in the atmosphere much longer, from years to centuries, contributing to longer periods of warming. So, these gases trap solar radiation in the Earth's atmosphere, making the climate warmer. Ocean currents and carbon dioxide content. Ocean currents carry heat around the Earth. As the oceans absorb more heat from the atmosphere, sea surface temperature increases, and the ocean circulation patterns that transport warm and cold water around the globe change. The direction of these currents can shift so that different areas become warmer or cooler. As oceans store a large amount of heat, even small changes in the ocean currents can have a large effect on global climate. In particular, increases in sea surface temperature can increase the amount of atmospheric water vapor over the oceans, increasing the quantity of greenhouse gas. If the oceans are warmer, they can't absorb as much carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. The oceans contain more carbon dioxide in total than the atmosphere, and exchanges in carbon dioxide occur between the oceans and the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide absorbed in ocean water does not trap heat as it does in the atmosphere. The world's oceans absorb about a quarter of carbon dioxide we release into the atmosphere every year. As atmospheric carbon dioxide levels increase, so do the ocean's carbon dioxide levels. Volcanic eruptions. The main effect volcanoes have on the climate is short-term cooling. Volcanic eruptions pump out clouds of dust and ash, which block out some sunlight. Because the ash particles are relatively heavy, they fall to the ground within about 3 months, so their cooling effect is very short-lived. But volcanic debris also includes sulfur dioxide. This gas combines with water vapor and dust in the atmosphere to form sulfate aerosols, which reflect sunlight away from the Earth's surface. These aerosols are lighter than ash particles and can remain in the atmosphere for a year or more. Their cooling effect outweighs the warming caused by volcanic greenhouse gases. An example of this is the eruption of Mount Pinatubo in 1991. It caused 0.5 degrees Celsius drop in the global temperature. Volcanic eruptions spew out lava, carbon dioxide, ash, and particles. Although carbon dioxide has a warming effect, average volcanic carbon dioxide emissions are less than 1% of emissions from current human activities. Large volumes of gases and ash can influence climatic patterns for years by increasing planetary reflectivity causing atmospheric cooling. Now that we're done discussing the natural causes of climate change, let's move on in discussing the human cause of climate change.
Hi guys, for today I will be discussing about the human causes of climate change. Humans are increasingly influencing the climate and the Earth's temperature by burning fossil fuels, cutting down forests, and farming livestock. These add enormous amounts of greenhouse gases to those naturally occurring in the atmosphere, increasing the greenhouse effect and global warming. The main driver of climate change is the greenhouse effect. Some gases in the Earth's atmosphere act a bit like the glass in a greenhouse, trapping the sun's heat and stopping it from leaking back into space and causing global warming. Causes for rising emissions. First is burning coal, oil, and gas. It produces carbon dioxide and nitrous oxide. Second is cutting down forests, or we call it deforestation. Trees help to regulate the climate by absorbing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. When they are cut down, that beneficial effect is lost and the carbon stored in the trees is released into the atmosphere, adding to the greenhouse effect. We need to stop that activity that we call deforestation because that will destroy our atmosphere. Next guys is about greenhouse gases. Without greenhouse gases and their warming effect, we would not be able to survive. However, since the Industrial Revolution, we've been adding more and more greenhouse gases into the air, trapping even more heat. We call this the enhanced greenhouse effect. And it's the main cause of climate change. Some human activities increase the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, burning fossil fuels, coal, gas, and oil. These release carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Deforestation, trees absorb carbon dioxide during photosynthesis. If they are cut down, there will be higher amounts of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Human population also affects the climate change. Why? Because more people means more demand for oil, gas, coal, and other fuels mined or drilled from below the Earth's surface. In my own opinion, we can help our atmosphere to prevent climate change in a simple way, like putting your trash in like trash bin, or stop burning some plastics or something that can destroy our atmosphere, and even cutting down trees. We need to stop that thing because that can help our atmosphere, and we are the one who can suffer, or we are the one that will accept the consequences that our Mother Earth will give us. And that's all. Thank you.
So what are the main risks of climate change to the people and environment, and what can we do to help? When your nation is trying to grow and create a better lives for your citizens, this regular heated economy is the last thing you can do. This climate change is not an easy problem to fix, but we need to try. The first step is educating the citizens about what the nation is facing and about the practical clean energy solutions available that can begin to address the harmful effects of climate change in our country.
Impacts on vulnerability and equity. Projected climate change will affect certain groups of people more than others, depending on where they live and their ability to cope with different climate hazards. In some cases, the impacts of climate change are expected to worsen existing vulnerabilities. We have the geographic location where people live influences their vulnerability to climate change. Over the past 4 decades, population has grown rapidly in coastal areas and in the southern and western regions of the United States. These areas are most sensitive to coastal storms, drought, air pollution, and heat waves. Population in the Mountain West will likely face water shortages and increased wildfires in the future. Arctic residents will likely experience problems caused by thawing permafrost and reduced sea ice. Along the coast and across the western United States, both increasing population and changes in climate place growing demands on transportation, water, and energy infrastructure. Another one is the ability to cope. Different groups have different abilities to cope with climate change impacts. People who live in poverty may have a difficult time coping with changes. These people have limited financial resources to cope with heat, relocate or evacuate, or respond to increases in the cost of food. Older adults may be among the least able to cope with impacts of climate change. Young children are another sensitive age group since their immune system and other bodily systems are still developing and they rely on others to care for them in disaster situations. Another one is the indigenous peoples, wherein indigenous communities and tribes are diverse and span the United States. While each community and tribe is unique, many share characteristics that can affect their ability to prepare for, respond to, and cope with the impacts of climate change. These include: first, living in rural areas or places most affected by climate change, like communities along the coast. Second, is relying on surrounding environment and natural resources for food, cultural practices, and income. Third one is coping with higher levels of existing health risks when compared to other groups. The fourth one is having higher rates of uninsured individuals who have difficulty accessing quality health care. And last is living in isolated or low-income communities. Climate change can impact the health and well-being of indigenous tribes in many ways. Climate change will make it harder for tribes to access safe and nutritious food, including traditional foods important to many tribes. Cultural practices. Many tribes already lack access to safe drinking water and wastewater treatment in their communities. Climate change is expected to increase health risks associated with water quality problems like contamination and may reduce availability of water, particularly during droughts. By affecting the environment and natural resources of tribal communities, climate change also threatens the cultural identities of indigenous people, as plants and animals used in traditional practices or sacred ceremonies become less available. Tribal culture and ways of life can be greatly affected. Again, those are the impacts on vulnerability and equity.
Good day everyone, I am Giselle D. Eva from BSE 1A. So I will be presenting the effects of climate change on the economic activities and services. So basically, the environment is the life supporting system for us and for our economy. We highly depend on clean air, water, and a stable climate. That's right, without a stable climate, we can't have a prosperous economy. However, as we continue to flourish our nation, effects of climate change are already and continuously having serious impacts on the environment and economy as well. Climate change is now considered one of the greatest threats to the economic stability. For example, climate change will greatly affect farming communities or agricultural industries, tourism and recreation, and also insurance industries. these some sectors are the most affected during the climate change. Impacts of climate change will also threaten the bottom line of businesses in many ways. Production of goods and services usually depends on natural resources, but the more we use it, the more it becomes limited, and due to the unexpected weather temperature causing snowmelt, drought, flooding, and other disasters, agricultural crops and livestock that are unlikely to survive in some areas will be highly affected, in which jobs and livelihood of those who rely upon them, especially the farmers and factory workers, will be the one to suffer most, because some industries or companies will have to hire the product cost or will have to lower the salary wages of workers that may lead to loss of jobs or unemployment. Climate change also affects tourism industry and recreational activities who is highly dependent on climate. Hence, climate is among the factors that motivate and determine the tourist flows and trends. However, climate change has affected many tourist destinations like beaches and recreational summer and winter activities such as skydiving and skiing, where extreme events of drought, storm, large quantities of rain, sea level rise, and hurricanes, among others, have made many regions and global communities vulnerable to these events and could make tourist destinations less attractive and may discourage tourism. Therefore, communities that support themselves through these recreational activities would feel the economic impacts as tourism patterns began to change. Climate matters for insurance sectors, so climate change may make it harder and more expensive for many people to insure their homes, businesses, or other valuable assets in risk-prone areas, or preclude them from insurance altogether. Insurance is one of the primary mechanisms used to protect people and communities against weather-related disasters. Mostly, effects of climate change are likely to increase losses of properties or crops, and also cause costly disruption to society. In the longer term, particularly the most vulnerable sectors or areas, climate change could indirectly increase social disparities as insurance premiums become unavailable or unaffordable for a fringe of population.
A biodegradable material can be defined as a material which can be decomposed by bacteria or natural organisms.
Non-biodegradable is a substance or chemical that cannot be changed by the action of bacteria to a natural state.
Recyclable is a substance or an object that can be recycled.
The importance of proper waste segregation. First, what do we mean by waste segregation? Well, waste segregation means sorting out the waste to divide the junk from dry and wet, so that the dry waste gets recycled and the wet waste can be composted. Segregation is just a selfless task that we all can do. It is very important as it makes the process of recycling easier. Waste segregation is a vital thing for us to have a cleaner environment, safe surrounding, and also in maintaining a good public health. Improper waste segregation can affect the oceans and rivers, as well as the animals and marine life. It can also create chronic health problems to humans. So it is very important to dispose and segregate our waste in a proper manner.
The benefits of proper waste segregation are clean environment, promote health and sanitation, reduce pest infestation.
Protect you from biohazards, save the environment, ensure physical safety.
Proper waste segregation is very important. It helps to protect and preserve our mother nature. It is also a big advantage to humans because they help in bringing back the natural environment. It is also help them to have a clean surroundings that avoid from being infected by the diseases that we can get from waste.
Environment needs our attention.
By effective use of waste and proper segregation,